At what point did you, did you think there would be a work come out of it?
I think that I didn't know what was going to come out of this until I started to meet people who were there. I knew I had to do something because I was consumed by it. I was very moved, deeply touched, frightened, terrified by what I was learning, and inspired by it all at once. People started asking me, "You're going to do a book about this?" I would talk to everybody about this. And I hadn't even thought of anything like that. I didn't know. And then suddenly, I just needed to get this on stage. I just had that feeling. It came to me that the live audience needed to hear the Verdi Requiem in this context. That if I had people in a concert hall, that I think that I could interweave the story and give a new meaning to the Verdi Requiem. And so I felt it had to be a live experience.
When you found out what the piece was that they played there so many times, and having conducted it yourself, I'm sure so many times, it must have made the piece take on a whole new meaning for you.
What were these Jews doing with virtually little time left of their lives? It seemed. I know they were in a state of denial about that, but they were also realistic about it at the same time. There was this yin-yang right down the center. We're going to die, we're going to live. And to have their work and energy and devotion, these are hungry people and sick people, and they came to rehearsals to learn by rote the Verdi Requiem so they could sing it for their fellow prisoners and sing it against the Nazis. And it's an unbelievable, powerful statement. And suddenly, I began to think as they did. Good heavens, when you start to think of Dies Irae, the day of judgment. Is it the day of judgment between me and God as I'm going to be judged by my sins on earth, or is it a day of judgment, of what the Nazis will be, how the Nazis will be judged? That God is in charge of humanity, and if anybody fools around with that, they're going to hear from God. When you start to read the Mass as though you were a prisoner in Terezín, and you start to see things like liberame, which technically means deliver me, O Lord, but in this case, it's liberate me, O Lord. The whole notion and nature of liberation, I mean, it's a different sort of meaning entirely when you're a prisoner. So I started rereading the Mass about Liber Scriptus, what is written, and how you will be judged, and called before whom, and the fires of hell meaning this. I mean, it was an overwhelming, powerful, gripping and magnetic story within the text of the traditional Mass, now reinterpreted by the prisoners of that camp. Just knowing that, before I ever conducted it again, changed. I thought to myself, well, there it is. I will never think of the Verdi the same way.
And teleprompter from 2 to what?
2 to 3:30.
2 to 3:30, that's perfect.
At the end of this full day's rehearsal, Murray was raw and possessed.
How are you? Are you sleeping? Are you eating?
No, I'm not sleeping and I'm not eating. No, I'm consumed by the responsibility of a massive project. And I will tell you right now, it's not the financial responsibility. It's not the technical responsibility. And to a certain degree, it isn't even the musical responsibility. It is the moral responsibility. I'm consumed with trying to pay homage to the dignity and wonderment of those people in Terezín, and I'm constantly consumed with, are we doing the right thing? Are we doing enough? Are we saying it correctly? And then we focus on you again for about 10 seconds.
Okay.
I think this is the pinnacle of his existence. I think that everything is coming to this point, that this is the most important moment in his career, and it should be. I mean, this is a major undertaking. Setting of the Verdi Requiem in this context is really extraordinary. It's an amazing project.
Here we go. Bar 78, please. I'll never get over this. You know, it's just, it's too mammoth. And all of this is simply two things: to make a hero out of Raphael Schechter, and to ask people who come in contact with this that from now on, when you hear the Verdi Requiem, think of Terezín, in addition to everything else it could mean to you. Think of those poor souls. Welcome.
But Murray's day wasn't over yet. A lecture at Lewis and Clark College.
I did just bolt upright early one morning and said, no, wait a second, there's something wrong with this picture. By this time, it's quite likely that many knew that the potential of death faced them.
He shared the podium with Edgar Krause, Schechter's cellmate.
The singing itself gave you the feeling that you're free, at least for that period of time, brings you close to your home activities, cultural activities, and I think in this way strengthened your morale and supported the hope.
The day of the premiere of Defiant Requiem had finally come. The hall was filling. The technicians in the truck were counting down the minutes. And then Murray Sidlin's masterpiece was fact.
6, 5, 8.
You'll see the show. What you won't see next week is the look on Murray Sidlin's face after it was over.
I just thought, you know, please God, let Rafi approve of what I'm doing. That's it. Let it be something that he would smile on.